everybody, it's How To Tuesday, and today we're going to go over something that I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. I shared it on social media and had some questions about it, actually, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about it on How To Tuesday, go into depth on how and why I'm doing this. And what I'm doing is teasing jacks. So why in the world would you want to tease jacks? A lot of people don't know why you would want to fish without hooks. So when I'm talking about teasing a jack or many multiples of jacks or lots and lots of jacks, the idea is that you take all the hooks off of a lure and you throw it out there and they chase after it. So why in the world would you want to do that? A lot of people just want to catch a fish as fast as they can. And, you know, if you have a hook on it, it obviously works a whole lot better than if you don't have a hook on it. So the reason that I've been teasing jacks is, one, to see if they're there, right? So, and also to see kind of how many are there. So if you pull into an area and you don't know if the jacks are there, or you kind of suspect that they were there yesterday or whatever, you can take a hookless lure and you can throw it out there. And if you have a whole bunch following, you know, you can see exactly what's there. There are a lot of jacks there and they're all coming after your lure and actually biting it. That helps you to find where they are. It helps you to find new spots. It helps you to, you know, have confidence in the spot that you're there right now, whether you want to stay there or move on. So that's one of the reasons to tease the jacks. You can also use it to find brand new spots. Like if you go to a channel and you don't know that there are Jack Crevalles there or horse-eyed jacks or whatever, you can, you know, prospect. You can, and you know, if you're fishing a jig, you don't have any idea how many are there. You get a bite, maybe it was just 2 or 3, 5 or 6 there, or maybe there was a school of 100. So using a surface lure and having the jacks come after it kind of allows you to see what's there, whether you choose to fish them there that day or not. That's a very good technique. Another reason that I have been teasing jacks is maybe you have some people on the boat. Two things: maybe they don't cast very far. They're not. Maybe they're novice fishermen. They don't cast real far, and let's say it's taking a tremendously long cast to catch a jack. Like for whatever reason, they're on the other side of the channel. Whatever. I can take a hookless plug and I can throw over there with, you know, 10 or 20 pound braid, and I can throw a cast that's so far that they're never going to be able to cast that far, or not for a long time with a lot of practice. I can throw it way over there and I can bring these jacks into range for my anglers. So now as they're seeing them chasing after my lure, they can throw out there nearby and I can simply stop the lure. And the jacks don't know what in the world's going on there because they were chasing it. And if 50 jacks are chasing after a lure or a fish, it rarely stops. And so they're just kind of sitting there looking at it. And if a jig comes by or another lure, they will bite that 100%. So that is a really good way to get your anglers a lot of extra action, is to tease these things in and bring them into range, into comfortable casting range for whoever you have. Another reason that I'll tease jacks is to bring them into range for fly fishermen. So if we have a fly fisherman on the deck, and you know, you can blind cast, and sometimes there's no need to. You throw out there and you are right on them, man. They're in range. It's easy to do. You know, you pull your popper or your streamer, whatever you're using, and the jacks pile on it, and there's no reason that you have to tease them. But a lot of times they're there for a little bit and then they kind of go back to where, you know, if they're following a shark or if they're, you know, milling around in a certain area, they'll go back to that certain area and now they're out of range. And so you can blind cast over and over and over and over and over again. You're not going to get one. Every now and then maybe you do as they kind of mill back into range. But with the hookless teaser, you can do that every time. Pretty much. And the trick to fly fishing for them is I will stand, if I have a right-handed fly fisherman, he's going to cast with his right hand. I'll stand on the left-hand side of him. I'll throw the plug out there and I'll put my tip very low to the water. This is going to keep the line very low to the water, and the fly fisherman's not going to hook it with his fly and pull the braid out of the water. It seems like it would be a hard thing to do, but it's actually a very easy thing to do. So with my rod tip held very low, I'm working this plug in, and as they see the jack start to come after it, and as it starts to get into range, they go from the ready position with 20 or 30 feet of fly line outside of their rod tip. They make a cast. They cast almost perpendicular to my line, but kind of to where they're going to cross my line purposefully with their fly. So I can bring that lure right under their fly line, and what's left is their fly right there, and it works like a charm. And you can get somebody a Jack Crevalle on fly if they've never caught a saltwater fish on fly before. This is an excellent way to do it, and it all starts with this lure that is hookless. And you need a good leader on there, because you're going to get a lot of bites. When you're just fishing for jacks, you throw out there, you get a bite, and you fight that fish to the boat. That's great. When you're teasing them, you're getting 50 bites, 20 bites, 10 bites, 5 bites per cast. So the leader can get chewed up real fast. So a wire leader is a good thing when you're doing this. Heavy, 40, 50, 60 pound is good, because you don't want them to take your lure, and they will chew the paint off your lure. So, have a good heavy leader on there, and that works really, really well. So many people were asking, like it was some sort of secret, like, what is this lure that you're using to tease these jacks? And it's really no secret at all. It could be pretty much any lure. You could take any floating lure, with the exception of a couple, and I'll mention those right now. Any kind of floating lure is going to work great. Now, my favorite one, if you go back to the podcast we did, the How To Tuesday, about how to customize a Barracuda lure, I have, and we're going to use that B-roll right here. We're going to show you exactly what that lure looks like, and how you break the bill off, how you remove the front hook, to make a great Barracuda lure. Now on this deal, you're going to remove both hooks, and what you're going to be left with is basically a heavy pencil that floats. And you are going to be able to throw that a long way, and as you bring it in, it's not going to have any resistance. It's going to be skipping across the top of the water like a houndfish or a ballyhoo, and it drives jacks crazy. They come after it. They're going to chew the paint off the back end of it, and occasionally they'll bite it so hard that it will actually pull drag without any hooks on it. And I've even gotten them all the way to the boat when the lure gets kind of caught in their mouth just right. You can get them all the way to the boat. I've never landed one without a hook, but I have gotten them right up to the boat. So that's one of my favorite lures, but it could be any old lure in your tackle box. You got a bunch of poppers, or kind of surface type lures, anything. All the hooks are rusty or broken, cut the hooks off of them, and you got some good teasing lures. You want it to be a lure that you can throw a long way. That's really important. And you want it to float. That's also really important. The lures that I kind of avoid for teasing are those with a cupped face. And the cupped face are really good for popping, and they would be a great lure if it had a hook on it and you're just trying to catch a jack. That would be a good lure to use for that, but it's not really a good lure for the teasing, because what you're trying to do with the teasing is you're trying to let them just barely touch it. They can't quite get it, and it drives them crazy, and it brings others in, and they all are like, what is this thing that is getting away from us? It must be awesome. They get really super determined. And so what you want to do is bring that in kind of a jerking motion, but never let it slow down enough to where they can really grab it. And that's pretty hard. It really is, especially if you haven't done this before, or if I hand this teasing rod off to somebody that hasn't done it very often. It's hard because you do not realize at first how fast these fish are. And you are basically reeling it almost as fast as you can to keep it away from them. And while you're reeling it as fast as you can, you're also jigging the rod up and down. So the lure is reeling really super fast, but it's also going super fast in this kind of jerky, fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow motion that drives the jacks absolutely crazy. So this is, I hope that this is kind of solving a lot of the questions that people have been hitting me up on social media and other places. The text is a great place, and a lot of people have been texting questions there. I want to make sure that I get this number right. That number is 305-930-7346. You can always text that number and hit me with questions. That's the best way to get a hold of me. A lot of times I'm not checking the DMs on the social media. There's just so much spam there. It's crazy. So if you want to get in touch with me and you have a legitimate question, hit that number up. It's 305-930-7346. You just ask your question right there. I will get back to you, and it is really me that's getting back to you. So that's awesome. A lot of people have been asking about this lure and this technique of teasing the jacks. So it works obviously very well in places where there are jacks. You're not going to throw this hookless lure on there in places that there aren't very many jacks and expect to have a ton of them. But if you are fishing in the Florida Keys or places where there are Jack Crevalle, particularly, Panhandle can be a really good one. You can bring these things into range. You can learn things about these fish that you didn't know before, places where they are. In fact, you could even troll the thing behind you. And you're not really necessarily looking to catch them. You're looking for them to show you where they are so that you can go back and learn more about them. How many are there? Are they moving through the area? Are they holding on some kind of structure? Are they staying in the area? Could you go back on a different tide and catch them here? All of these things for a fishing guide add up to things that, if you know where the Jack Crevalles are and you know what's happening and lots of different places that you can find them, man, you know what? All of a sudden the sight fishing is fantastic. It's really great. Then it gets really super cloudy about 11 o'clock. Well, you got 4 more hours to kill. And a lot of times, it gets really hard to catch the thing that you're really after, and your clients really just want to bend the rod. So Jack Crevalles can be really great for that. I love the fish. They are hard fighting fish, and I search for them all the time because they can save the day and have saved the day so many times. So anyway, that's why I tease jacks, and I hope that these few little tips can help you to customize your lures and then go out and find your own spots, because this is a great way to do it. And if you're a fly fisherman, you should, and you're after jacks, you should always have a teasing rod with you. It is really, really important. You can catch way, way, way more of them. It's way effective, really good. Great practice if you're ever going to go sail fishing down in Costa Rica or Guatemala, because it's kind of the same thing. You tease those fish just like we're teasing the jacks. It's actually slower with a sailfish, but you are getting them to come up on a hookless thing. Then you're throwing a fly and fooling that fish. A bait and switch is what it's been called in the past. But that's why I tease jacks. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, hit me at 305-930-7346. Otherwise, we'll see you next week for another How To Tuesday. And appreciate all the support. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.